Hey up everyone, welcome to my video. I hope you're all having a good day or night wherever you may be. It's currently Friday evening at the moment, which means it's time for a bit of a drink. I'm guessing that if you're watching this video now, you're probably in lockdown. I'm in lockdown at the moment. As England's in lockdown, we're all having to stay at home because of this coronavirus. The whole world's gone mad. So, the topic of today's video is going to be my greatest ever Eastern Suburbs team, 1 through to 17. Now, for you people that don't know who Eastern Suburbs are, it's really the Sydney Roosters, but Eastern Suburbs is the actual name of the club. The Sydney Roosters is just a marketing name. And as you know, if you're a current subscriber or if you are new to the channel, you know that I refuse to call them the Sydney Roosters. Even seeing the name now just kind of annoys me because I think it's just such a daft name and they should really go back to being Eastern Suburbs. But that's not what I'm going to be making the video about today. Today I'm going to be doing their best ever 17 players, so their greatest ever team. I did the South Sydney video last night and I was thinking, well, if I'm going to be doing South Sydney, I may as well do Eastern Suburbs because, you know, arch rivals and all that keeper. I've had this list on my phone for a while now. I made this list quite a few months back, but I've been tinkering with it a bit. This video's unscripted, as you can tell, with this whole NRL season being suspended. It's kind of throwing everything out. If you like the videos and you like what I'm doing with the channel, just let me know in the comment section below. Like the videos, share the videos. If you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. Just make sure that you click that notification bell so you get an email whenever I do a new video. And if you've got some spare time, go over to Rugby League History. That's the Facebook page that I run. I've got a link in the description below. So what I didn't mention last night with the South Sydney team is that with all the players that have to be in the team, they have to be retired. I'm not going to name any current players for these lists. So James Tedesco, Cardner, Maria Hargreaves, all these players, they're not in this list. This is all players that have played for Eastern Suburbs in the past and have retired. So without further ado, let's get into the team. So at fullback, the number 1 position, I've got Anthony Minichiello, the Count. So Anthony Minichiello, he played his entire career with Eastern Suburbs. He's currently the record appearance holder at the club. I think he's going to continue to be the record appearance holder at the club because with this coronavirus, Mitch Orbison, who was more than likely going to pass him, it's his final year of the contract and it looks like the season's not going to be played, so it's not going to happen. Getting back to Minichiello though, I grew up watching Minichiello play. It was a pleasure to watch him play. I used to call him the human pinball machine because he used to run the ball back when he used to get the kick return. He used to bounce off people and he was great in defence, great in attack, reliable under the high ball, scored a lot of tries. He won 2 premierships with Eastern Suburbs, 2002, 2013. He captained the team in 2013. He also played in 4 other grand finals, which were all losses. But he's my pick for the fullback. On the left wing, I've gone with Bill Mullins. Now, Bill Mullins played in the 1960s and 1970s for Eastern Suburbs. He won the 2 premierships with the club in 1974 and 1975. He was the club's leading try scorer until Anthony Minichiello broke the records. So he'd scored 104 tries in his career with Eastern Suburbs. If you kind of thinking the Mullins name kind of sounds familiar, well, he's actually the father of Brett Mullins, who played for Canberra and Eastern Suburbs as well. And his brother Russell Mullins played for Western Suburbs. So a very talented family there. Bill Mullins was a fantastic player, great winger, so he's on my left wing. In the left centre position, I've gone for Dolly Messenger. So Dolly Messenger is an immortal, as everyone knows. The Dalian medal's named after him. He was one of the pioneers of rugby league. He brought a lot of publicity and popularity to the game in the earlier days. He won the 3 premierships with Eastern Suburbs, 1911 through to 1913, so they went on the three-peat there, like. Obviously, no one's alive today to see that, look, they saw him play, but reading from accounts, he was a fantastic player. He could kick the ball from anywhere. When he was kicking for goal, he was a great visionary, great passer, great in attack, great in defence. So he's my pick for the left centre. At right centre, I've gone for Dave Brown, the Bradman of League. Dave Brown is an immortal as well. He played many seasons with Eastern Suburbs, but he also spent some time over in England here with Warrington. He holds a few records which may never ever be broken. One of which was in the 1935 season. He scored 38 tries, and in the match against Canterbury he scored 45 individual points. So those records since 1935 haven't been broken. He won 2 premierships with Eastern Suburbs in the 1930s. He could have won more if he didn't go to Warrington, but he come over here for a bit, played, and then went back to Eastern Suburbs. His nickname was the Bradman of League, with all the records that he broke. So he's my pick for the right centre in the Eastern Suburbs best ever team. And the right wing position, I'm going to go with Fred Tottey. Now I hope that I've pronounced that name correctly. Fred Tottey played for Eastern Suburbs in the 1930s. He won 3 premierships with the club. The first 2 premierships that he won, he scored tries in the grand final, which helped the Eastern Suburbs win the premiership. He played 74 first grade games for the club in the 1930s, and he scored 77 tries, which is, you know, a try a game or 2 tries a game. From all accounts, he was a fantastic player. He was great on the wing, and looking at the stats, I'd have to say that he's probably one of the best backs that Eastern Suburbs has ever had. So I've picked him as the winger on the right wing for Eastern Suburbs best ever team. 5'8". Now this is a player that you'd all know, Freddie Fittler. Once again, the same as Minichiello, I had the pleasure of growing up and watching Freddie Fittler play for many years. He had one of the best steps in the game, great passer, a real competitor. He started his career off as a prodigy with Penrith, won a premiership with them, kept growing as a player, ended up becoming a leader and a captain with Eastern Suburbs. One of their best ever players, and he finally got rewarded in 2002 when he won the grand final with Eastern Suburbs. He also played in 3 other losing grand finals with him, but with Freddie Fittler, he's my pick for 5'8". At halfback, I've gone for Kevin Hastings. Now, Kevin Hastings played for Eastern Suburbs in the 1970s and 1980s. He's one of the only players on this list that didn't win a premiership with Eastern Suburbs. He joined the club after the Jack Gibson era. Some people have described Hastings as one of the best players to never ever be selected for higher representative honours. He only ever got to play the 1 game for New South Wales. Never got picked for Australia. But he won the 1981 Rothmans Medal, and he was continually voted as one of the best players in the late 70s and 1980s. So he's my pick for the halfback in the Eastern Suburbs team. At prop number 8, I've got Stehr. Now, Stehr played for Eastern Suburbs in the 1930s and 1940s. He debuted as a 16-year-old. So he made his first grade debut when he was 16. He ended up winning 5 premierships with the club in that time period when he played for him. He also represented New South Wales, Australia, and a few other representative teams. He was a staunch East player and supporter even well after he retired. He captained the 1940 and 1945 Grand Final teams. He was voted a couple of years back as one of the best props to ever play the game. So he's my pick for the first prop in the team. The other prop, I've gone for Arthur Beetson. Obviously, that's an obvious choice. Another immortal. He won the 2 premierships with Eastern Suburbs in 1974 and 1975, which he captained as well. He was probably the best front rower in the game at the time, and well after he retired, and even when he was made an immortal, he was still regarded as one of the best props to ever play the game. So it's just a no-brainer putting Arthur Beetson in the team at prop. At hooker, I've gone for Sandy Pearce. Most people wouldn't know who Sandy Pearce is, but he played for Eastern Suburbs in the same era as Dolly Messenger. He won the 3 premierships. He represented state and country. He was by all accounts a fantastic hooker. If you go through the golden periods of Eastern Suburbs from now to when they started, the hooker position's always been kind of a weak point for the club. They've had other positions covered, but the hooker position, they've kind of had other people temporarily filling in that position. If Jake Friend retires in the next couple of years, I might consider putting him in the team ahead of Sandy Pearce, because I've got first-hand experience of watching Jake Friend play. But I'd have to go with Sandy Pearce, simply because of his reputation and what he achieved. At second row, so my first second row in the team, I've gone for Harry Pearce. Now, he's no relation to Sandy Pearce, and no relation to Mitchell Pearce either. He won 4 premierships with Eastern Suburbs in the 1930s and 1940s when they had that champion team. He was voted, I think, in the top 100 players to have played the game between 1908 and 2008. So he's my pick for the first second rower. The second person in the second row is Joe Pearce. Now, Joe Pearce was related to Sandy Pearce, who I just mentioned earlier. And Joe Pearce, he won 4 premierships with Eastern Suburbs in the 1930s and 1940s. And he was regarded as one of the best second rowers in the game at that time. So he's my pick for the other second rower. At lock, I've picked Ron Coote. Now, last night, I picked Ron Coote in my South Sydney greatest ever team. Well, when he went to Eastern Suburbs, it was very controversial at the time that he went to Eastern Suburbs, but he ended up becoming a fan favourite there, won the 2 premierships. He was still considered one of the best locks to ever have played the game, and at the time I think he was the premier lock in the game. As I said last night, there's calls for him to be made an immortal, so whenever the immortal chat comes up, Ron Coote's name's always mentioned. So he's my pick for lock. And on the bench, I've got Andy Norval. Now, well, it might be Andy Norval or it might be Andy Norval. I don't know how to pronounce the name. But he won 4 premierships with Eastern Suburbs in the 30s and 40s. And he was considered one of the best locks in the competition at the time. At fifth, the second seat on the bench, I've given to Ernie Norman. He played in the same time period as Andy Norval, so he won the 3 premierships in the 30s and 40s. The third bench spot goes to Luke Ricketson. Now, Luke Ricketson, I watched him play for many years. He was always reliable. He held the record for the most ever games played for Eastern Suburbs until Minichiello broke the record. He won the Premiership with them in 2002, which was a reward for all he went through with Eastern Suburbs, because I remember growing up, East weren't always the best team, but Luke Ricketson was always there, and he was always one of their go-to players, one of their best players. He also went on to represent Australia and New South Wales, like a lot of people in this list. And my last bench spot goes to Craig Fitzgibbon. So Craig Fitzgibbon, at the time when he retired from rugby league and he left Eastern Suburbs, he was the top point scorer for the club and still is. He got a Premiership ring with them in 2002. He was also part of the 2000, 2003 and 2004 grand final losses. Craig Fitzgibbon was a great, he played second row. I remember at state level he used to form a partnership with Nathan Hindmarsh. Craig Fitzgibbon was a very tough player, great in defence, great in attack, a fantastic goal kicker. So he's me pick for the bench. And for coach, well, whenever you see people talk about Eastern Suburbs and their greatest ever coach, everyone goes on about Jack Gibson and the 74, 75 sides. But what a lot of people don't either know or they forget is that you had someone by the name of Arthur Halloway. Now Arthur Halloway, he won, well he holds the record for most premierships won as a coach. Whenever you hear someone say Wayne Bennett is the most successful coach, that's a lie. It's actually incorrect. Arthur Halloway has won 8 premierships as a coach. Now with Eastern Suburbs, he coached the club in the 1930s. That was his first spell. And he coached them to 3 premierships in a row. One of them was undefeated throughout the season. He also coached them to 2... Well, actually, no. 34... He coached them in the grand finals 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So 5 years in a row he coached them in the grand final. After they lost to Canterbury in 38, he took a break. Then he came back in the 40s and he won another premiership with them. So he won 4 premierships with Eastern Suburbs as a coach. And I think personally, I think that he... When I saw the greatest ever Eastern Suburbs team list and they put Jack Gibson ahead of Arthur Halloway, I kind of went, why? Arthur Halloway actually won more for the club. So in my list, he's going to be the coach of this team, not Jack Gibson. So there you have it. That's me 1 through to 17 greatest ever Eastern Suburbs Sydney Roosters team. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure you click that like button. If you are interested in other videos like this, I made the South Sydney one last night. I've got some other videos on my channel that might be of interest to you. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, just don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell. I'm going to be making another greatest team video tomorrow. I went for 18 minutes, which is a bit too long, but as I said, this is unscripted, so hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch us all later. Ta-ra.